Hi guys, today we're going to be planting some spring veggies, specifically radishes, lettuce, and Swiss chard in containers. First we're going to start with planting radishes in containers. I'm going to be planting my radishes in these really shallow containers. You don't need very deep containers to grow radishes. The main thing with radishes is you don't want your soil to be too nutrient dense. You don't want a whole lot of nitrogen in your soil. If you have a lot of nitrogen in your soil, you're going to grow a lot of radish leaves and they're not going to bulb out as nicely as they would otherwise. A brand new bag of potting soil that contains added fertilizers is probably not your best bet when planting radishes in containers. So I made up this soil myself. This is about 50% peat moss and 50% soil from my garden. I just dug it right out of the garden. Peat moss has very little nutrients, so I think this is going to work out really well. The soil's very loose. Peat moss is a little bit acidic to grow radishes in, so I did put some lime in here as well to help neutralize that acidity. You can plant your radishes early in the spring as soon as the soil can be worked. I'm just now getting around to planting my radishes. I've been so busy I kind of forgot about them, but it's still really not too late to get them started. So I'm spacing these, I don't know what this is, maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches apart. I just put little holes in the soil with my finger, and I'm going to drop in 2 or 3 little radish seeds into each hole. Then once they sprout, I'll thin them down to 1 radish per hole. Radishes are one of those crops that's really good for succession sowing, so you don't get a whole bunch of radishes at once, or maybe you do want a whole bunch of radishes at once, I don't know. But I would prefer to get just a few at a time. So I'm going to plant some more radishes in probably about 10 days, maybe 14 days, so that they're spaced out a little bit. Now I'm just going to cover these up, and that's all there is to it. Just like radishes, lettuce is another really great crop that you can plant in the cool weather of spring or fall. Nitrogen really helps to grow all of this beautiful leafy green foliage. So growing them in a nice potting soil with added fertilizers is a really good option. If you're using an old potting soil, I would recommend mixing in some granular fertilizer with that and some blood meal. I started all of this lettuce several weeks ago in some peat pellets indoors. Early in the season, I like to start my lettuce in peat pellets because they germinate a lot faster indoors. But at this point in the spring, it's late April, and sowing seeds directly into your container will work great. The seeds will germinate a lot faster outdoors now that it's warmed up a little bit. I'm going to be sowing some more lettuce today, and lettuce is another good one to succession sow. Once these seeds germinate and the plants grow up and I'm ready to start harvesting them, the lettuce in the other pot will probably be at the point where it's starting to bolt. So this way I can really stretch out that lettuce harvest and be able to harvest lettuce further into the season. If you want your lettuce to grow in little heads like you saw in the other pot, then you want to space it out a bit, but it's also fine to pack it in really close together like I just did with these. This variety is black-seeded Simpson. I like this variety because it grows really fast, and in my opinion, it seems to bolt slower than some of the other lettuce varieties do. Bolting is when your lettuce starts to go to seed, it gets bitter, it doesn't taste good anymore. This happens when it gets warm outside. So what I'm going to do, besides plant this lettuce, is I'm also going to plant this Swiss chard into this pot. This is a very mild tasting Swiss chard. Swiss chard can handle the heat of the summer, and it still tastes really good. It can handle the cool season as well. It's just an overall really good green. I like to use it in place of lettuce during the summer months of July and August. So I'm just gonna sprinkle these seeds over the soil like this, and I realize this is a really tight Swiss chard planting, but I would like to harvest the Swiss chard as baby greens. Even though this is a mild variety, harvesting them smaller is going to make them taste even more mild. Unlike lettuce, Swiss chard does need to be covered when you plant them. I don't know if they need to be covered, but I like to cover them. They're larger seeds than lettuce seeds. Lettuce, you just want to surface sow it. Lettuce does like light to germinate. So I'm just going to go through here and cover up all of these seeds, which is going to take me a while, so I'll be right back with you when I'm done. I got all of the Swiss chard seeds pushed into the dirt. I was really careful not to try to cover up too many of these lettuce seeds in the process. I'm going to harvest both the lettuce and the Swiss chard as it's growing in this pot. Then once the lettuce bolts, I will pull out the lettuce and let the Swiss chard just kind of fill in this pot. And there's a few different ways that you can harvest your lettuce. I'm going to harvest some of this today. The way that I'm going to be harvesting it today is I am just going to pick off some of the outer leaves around each plant. And when you do it this way, you can continue to let the center grow and it will produce more leaves for you. You could always pull out the whole head, but remember, if you do it that way, that's going to be the end of those lettuce plants. And that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.